A thought snack. Welcome to another thought snack. This thought snack is on the TransBan announced by the president on Twitter. First things first, I would say that I don't really have a hugely militant position on this issue, but this is just some snack for thought, really. First of all, how many people does this affect? Well, just under 0.5%, 0.45% of all Americans serve in the military. We will assume this applies to the transgender demographic, but there's likely a good argument to be made that the transgender demographic is less likely to serve in the military. If we take the results of the UCLA study, we find that there are 1.4 million transgendered individuals in the United States. 0.45% of 1.4 million is 7,000. This affects 7,000 people, potentially. There are 29 million people in the United States with diabetes and 25 million with asthma, and they are both excluded from serving in the military also. So if we're going to talk about excluded persons, we might talk about these two groups first, given that they total 54 million individuals, as opposed to 1.4 million transgendered individuals. The reality is that this is only about trans people if you want it to be. Look at the larger group that trans people have been grouped into, and it becomes clearer as to why this decision has been made. What this is really about is high-maintenance people in the U.S. military, especially in combat and critical support roles. Our military in the United States does not accept high-maintenance or special needs individuals. Here's the rub. This includes me. I always wanted to be a fighter pilot as a kid growing up. But can you imagine a fighter pilot dicking around with a contact in his eye at 35,000 feet at the controls of a multi-billion-dollar fighter jet? Can you imagine an MP guard with a chronic and unpredictable stomach issue? Or a transgender individual needing their medication and counseling at a forward operating base in a combat zone? Can you imagine a diabetic needing an insulin injection during a crash dive on a nuclear submarine? Or a communications coordinator needing an inhaler during an active sortie? The military can't imagine this reality either. One tweet by a rejected volunteer put it best. He gave the reason as, "Meds are not guaranteed." I get it. That's not fair, but that's life. War is no place for anyone other than the lowest maintenance individuals society can offer. It's not that the rejects are bad people any more than I am for my own physical issues. But the lives of others shouldn't rest on those who constantly need meds to function at 100%, whether that's an inhaler or hormone drugs. So ask yourself, is this really about transgender individuals or about high-need individuals? There is an argument that there should be somewhere that transgender individuals can serve. The Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, might be a good model for this argument as they have roles for autistic, mentally disabled persons, and people that have special medical needs within their ranks. But Israel is in a very different situation, a tense and tight situation that demands that every single person serve. They can't afford to tell many people no like the U.S. can. Israel thus has a very different military structure than we do. Finally, while you can argue that the APA and DSM-5 have incomplete or incorrect definitions of transgender individuals, one must accept that the APA is a highly scientific organization, and the publication of the DSM-5 is highly researched and reviewed. It would be rather astounding if the president sided with social justice advocates over the scientific psychology community in matters of life, death, war, and terror on the international scene. This may change in the future, but it's not against the consensus of science now. Even so, this policy should not have been implemented or announced via Twitter, nor should it have been spun this way. It should have been simply affirmed as part of the ongoing policy which does not allow regular medication consumers to join our armed forces. If we look at it that way, this really isn't about trans people at all. So there's your thought snack. Chew on it and see what's worth keeping.